Last year, Intel officially handed over the NUC license to ASUS after the company spent years developing these mini PCs. A few months later, ASUS has now launched its first ROG NUC device, kicking off a whole new era for the label. If you don't know what a NUC is, these mini PCs are all-in-one gaming devices that boast powerful hardware while keeping things small and simple. The easiest way to describe them would be to say they are like a gaming console, but with PC features like Windows 11, Steam, and all those other dozens of game launchers you find on the platform. Of course, they aren't as powerful as, say, a fully fledged gaming PC. That's because you can't fit the same raw power of, say, my dedicated RTX 4080 Super and AMD powered PC into the small device. But a NUC doesn't want to compete with a hardcore gaming rig. Instead, it is meant to be another option for gamers looking for a gaming PC, and we love having options. The ASUS ROG NUC comes in two options. There's an RTX 4060 with an Intel Core Ultra 7 CPU option called the NUC 760, and there's an RTX 4070 with an Intel Core Ultra 9 CPU called the NUC 970. Besides the CPU and GPU, these models are identical when it comes to the ports and features. The model in this content is the NUC 970. It goes without saying that the GPU in this NUC is a discrete chip, meaning it's the same hardware that you'll usually find in a gaming notebook. But before we get into the benchmarks and performance, I do want to touch on the design. When you pick up the ASUS ROG NUC, you'll get a fairly large box. It is a lot bigger than I expected considering how small the unit actually is. Inside there's the NUC itself. You'll also get a 330 watt power supply and the NUC stand. This is an optional attachment as the unit can be positioned flat on the table without the stand. There's also some exchangeable plastic decals which I'll get into in a bit. The NUC itself is a stylish black unit that looks like a media box. It is 270mm long, 180mm in depth and 50mm thick. It weighs less than 1 kilogram at 800 grams. ASUS has also included all the ports you can imagine on it too. On the front you'll find two USB 3.2 Gen 8 Type A ports and an SD Express card reader. There's also an audio out jack port that is combined for both line in and line out. The backside ports then include one USB 4 Type-C port with a DisplayPort 2.1 and power delivery. There's also two USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-A ports and two USB 2.0 Type-A ports. It comes with one HDMI 2.1 port and two DisplayPort 1.4A ports. There's also an Ethernet port for network connectivity. The power supply is then plugged into the DC in port, and there's also a Kensington lock for those who need it. Internally, the ASUS ROG NUC packs Wi-Fi 6E support with Bluetooth 5.3. It comes with a 1TB SSD installed and has three M.2 2280 PCIe slots you can use to upgrade your storage. On the RAM front, the unit comes with 32GB of RAM and can be upgraded to 64GB using DIMM chips. The exterior of the ASUS ROG NUC does look quite stylish. There are a few ROG decals here and there and an on and off switch. On the front there's a large ROG text, and at the top features an ROG logo that lights up. The color can also be changed in the armory crate. There's also a small vent on the top. On the bottom there are even more vents and two large fans visible from the outside. The unit comes with protective plastic on some of the surfaces, which is there to prevent scratches. However, it will likely come off over time due to the heat that this device can build up, so don't expect it to stay on and in pristine condition forever. Positioning the unit on its stand is simple. There are no screws to hold it in place. You just slide the NUC into the stand facing in the right direction and you're good to go. I think the ASUS ROG NUC is a pretty cool looking piece of tech. While it still looks like an original NUC to some degree, ASUS has done enough here to give that device that expected ROG flair. It definitely looks more like a gaming console than a PC. The small form factor also means you can place it next to your TV, gaming monitor and other displays. It can also be placed under your TV when you're not using the stand. Not to mention, it can easily be placed in the TV stand itself. Remember those extra plastic decals that came in the box? Well, they can be swapped out to change the top of the unit's LED styling. You can do this the same way you would upgrade the storage on the NUC. On the back there's a latch switch that once you slide over to the right, releases the top cover. Once the top cover is removed, the top metal plate houses these decals. You will just need to remove the one included and slide in a new one into the slot. If you want to check out what's inside of the unit and add another SSD, you then need to simply remove the metal housing by loosening the screw near the ports at the back and then pull the plate towards you. Once lifted up, you'll reveal the internals. Here you'll find the empty SSD slots and included SSD. You can also upgrade the RAM here. When it comes to the performance, the ROG Nuc wants to be another gaming partner in your life, so it packs some decent hardware. From the Armory crate, I was able to tweak the different power modes to max out the unit's performance. As usual, it includes silent, performance, and turbo. Each runs at a different wattage. I ran some tests across a number of games and benchmarks to see exactly how far we can go with this device. All these tests were done on the turbo mode with the latest BIOS installed. While the unit does provide a silent and performance mode, I don't see why anyone would use those power modes when gaming. The tests show that this ASUS ROG Nuc can easily deliver 1440p for the most modern games if you're looking at 60 FPS. In some rare cases, the unit does struggle a bit more in 1440p, and most games are unplayable in 4K without DLSS. But with DLSS and some setting tweaks here and there, you should be able to improve the performance. I found that most games I tested did reach 30 FPS in 4K, which is okay. Now before you burn me alive in the comment section, 30 FPS at 4K makes sense for a device like this. For those who want to plug it into their 4K TV and use it like a console, this performance is a sacrifice you'll need to live with to get that resolution. And to be honest, console owners usually get this anyway. Again, you can tweak DLSS and other settings to improve the performance, unlike a console which is usually very limited when it comes to graphics settings and resolutions. Outside of gaming, the ASUS ROG Nuc is also a beast when it comes to video editing. This is thanks to the Intel Core Ultra and its hardware encoder, so you can also use this as a dedicated content creation device. All of this, of course, uses power. The ASUS ROG Nuc is configurable in the BIOS where I could choose different power profiles. With no settings changed, I measured 19 watts of power when the unit was idle. When gaming and max settings, I only measured 220 watts of power at its peak. Keep in mind that the PS5 caps at 220 watts too, so considering all this performance we're getting out of this device, this power usage is quite impressive. When it comes to the heat, the ROG Nuc CPU peaked at 100 degrees Celsius, which of course led to some expected throttling. The GPU on the other hand wasn't much of an issue. I only measured 67 degrees during the most extreme cases. As for the fan noise, you'll definitely hear the Nuc when you're gaming and performing heavy tasks. The unit hit 47 decibels during max load, but most of the time it sat at around 30 decibels. So if you're using the Nuc as a media unit, the fan won't bother you. However, when gaming, you'll definitely hear a hum. It isn't a distraction though. If you're used to a gaming PC, this noise won't be a problem at all. Overall, the ASUS ROG Nuc is quite a beastly piece of equipment. It offers some robust gaming performance while also coming in a small package. Of course, you have to consider the downsides to this tech too. It is expensive, but at the same time, you're getting a bespoke gaming device that is both convenient and small. I could see myself using this on a daily while keeping it plugged into my TV and using it as a console-like experience. I would use my cheap little Logitech Bluetooth keyboard and trackpad combo to control the unit and load it into Steam Big Picture mode for an easy game launcher. Play my games and forget I was even using a PC. Not to mention the potential this brings when it comes to social gaming. I could easily connect 4 Xbox wireless controllers to this device and enjoy some local multiplayer games. Maybe even install some PS3 emulators and jam some old school games like Little Big Planet. Perhaps even some split screen Resistance Fall of Man. This device comes without the hassle of building and maintaining a dedicated PC, but it also comes with the capped performance. There's no improving on the RTX 4070 inside, so the lifespan is also limited. You'll need to keep that in mind. But overall, I enjoyed my time with the ASUS ROG Nuc. It does exactly what you would expect. It offers a hassle-free gaming PC experience to users without the custom building and wiring. The all-in-one package makes this ideal for newcomers, but at the same time, it is a dedicated gaming device and media unit. If this sounds like something you would use, then there's nothing wrong with that. But of course, you'll need to weigh up the options of building a PC with the possible upgrade feature or spending money on this, which may get dated in a few years' time. So those are my thoughts on the ASUS ROG Nuc 970. It really is a cool little device. Are you picking one up? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're here, please do consider liking and subscribing for future gaming content, and visit glitch.online for more gaming tech news and reviews. Until next time, farewell.